It's 4:20 somewhere, and right now that somewhere is right here. So hello and welcome to the Cannabist Show. My name's producer Vince, and here's your host, Jake Brown.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks to everyone tuning into the Cannabist Show, where we talk all things weed.
That's hashtag all things weed.
And that's the serious marijuana news, along with the fun stuff as well. And if you head over to the cannabist.co, you'll find out what was a surprise was waiting for Denver firefighters.
It's a really good one.
An update on rulemaking in Massachusetts.
They're making it wicked complicated.
And you can see the Florida dispensary that contains zero weed.
No, not after Jake got through it.
Vince, what's shaking?
I want to make a shake joke, not thinking that quickly. Life's good. Steelers are beating the Patriots this weekend. I can't wait to see it. Sorry, Broncos fans, and sorry, other football fans too, but Steelers are #1. How are you, Jake?
I'm just going to ignore any comments that you just made about the Steelers. I don't want to get the hate mail as a guy who moved here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and an avid Pats fan. We're just going to let that go because no one wants to hear sports. They want to hear weed, and now it is time for the Week in Weed.
What if there was a sports story in our Week in Weed where we... No, you know what's in there. I'm excited to see what's in there. Let's get into the Week in Weed, brother. Let's do it.
All right, well, let's go to North Dakota, something I never thought I would say.
Fair enough.
Where lawmakers are scrambling to figure out implementation of their medical marijuana program after the overwhelmingly red state approved it in November.
And in this overwhelmingly red state, it passed by a huge margin with 65% approval, second only to Florida's 71% in 2016 medical marijuana ballot measures.
And you hear that echoed in statements from North Dakota lawmakers, too, who are looking to delay implementation, but also understand that there's a mandate for MMJ laws there. Republican Senate Majority Leader Rich Wardner said, "This is in no way trying to stop the process," adding, "Nobody is playing games with this. Everybody respects the will of the people."
Well, I mean, Jake, it is 2017, and more than half of the country has medical marijuana laws, so what are they really trying to figure out?
Right? California's had medical marijuana for over a decade, and while they may not be the model per se, Colorado has been regulating it since the early 2010s, and they heard that echoed by Anita Morgan, one of the proponents of the North Dakota Compassionate Care Act, when she told lawmakers they needn't reinvent the wheel.
To be fair here, California is certainly not the model because its sprawling Wild West medical marijuana program won't even be regulated for the first time ever until 2018. But it will be with legislation voted on last year, so they certainly don't need to reinvent the wheel at all, unless, they could possibly make that wheel made of weed somehow.
We can only dream. Speaking of California, one entrepreneur is hoping to cash in on the latest in dating, marijuana matchmaking. Molly Peckler is the founder of Highly Devoted Coaching, which courts high-earning cannabis consumers, according to a piece from the Californian.
It might be because I'm not high-earning, but this seems kind of ridiculous to me, bro. Let's all get together and fall in love based on our vices. It just doesn't make sense. The article kind of explains it well. It goes into the fact that some people meet others who just don't like pot, and that's not a good, if you smoke, you and your non-smoking partner probably don't have a bright future ahead of you. But is that really something that you're building a lifelong relationship out of, especially for a $20 an hour matchmaking service?
Well, as somebody who met their partner through the cannabis industry, I'm not going to touch that, Vince. But prices range from, listen to this, $1,000 to up to $3,000 for Peckler's services.
Okay, so it's not cheap.
No, it's a tough pill to swallow.
More than that $20 an hour dating service, but still, everybody tweet me at Vinny Chant. Whether or not you've met your significant other from the cannabis industry, would you say a love of weed is the bedrock upon which your love has been built? Tweet me. Get at me. I need to know.
Well, she does have 3 tips for finding love with weed. So 1, think about why you love weed. 2, be open about loving weed. And 3, go to networking events.
It all makes sense, dude. It all makes sense, at least a little bit. Do we need to be told that now?
Hey, listen, maybe California's different. Who knows? Because we're going to come back to Colorado, and the battle over longer dispensary hours is heating up here in Denver, where shop owners are pushing back against the 7 p.m. designated closing time. The Denver Post's John Aguilar had a great piece this week contrasting the early last call in Denver with 2 small cities, Edgewater and Glendale.
But those 2 small cities have a big advantage. Their dispensaries are open until midnight. Shop representatives told John Aguilar that it's a huge difference, with Ben Loblick of Green Dragon Cannabis Co. in Edgewater noting that they start getting very busy after 7, presumably with Denver shoppers who can't visit a location closer to them, like me usually in most nights.
Yeah, and that's going over as well as old bong water in a shot glass with Denver business owners.
His own joke made him laugh, everybody. That's what just happened.
I'm like just imagining, I've had a shot glass of bong water.
That's really
I lost
gross.
a bet. But this also helps explain how Edgewater and Glendale are now the leaders in pot shops per capita. And I know I've gone to Edgewater a few times to re-up after dark.
And I certainly have gone to Glendale many times. My first pot shop in Colorado was in Glendale, purely because I don't get off work until after 8, 6 nights a week, dude.
Yeah, and that's a real reality for a lot of people. So we'll keep you up to date as the story continues to shape up. But now let's go to our cannabis policy and business writer, Alicia Wallace, with this week's Quick Hit.
The hemp industry is putting up its dukes and taking on the DEA. A cannabis law firm is seeking a legal review of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration's recent rule on marijuana extracts. If you recall last month, the DEA quietly issued a final rule notice that it plans to track derivatives of marijuana with a new code number. The agency also clarified that cannabis extracts are Schedule I substances, the strictest classification. Cannabis attorney Bob Hoban and the Hemp Industries Association told us at the time that they were concerned about the implications of the rule for producers of hemp and CBD oil. Hoban took up the causes of the HIA and 2 hemp businesses and took those concerns to court. Hoban's complaint alleges the agency overstepped its bounds when enacting the rule and ultimately could harm a booming hemp agriculture and products industry. DEA spokesman Russ Baer reiterated his past positions, that CBD oil and other derivatives of cannabis and hemp have been and will continue to be Schedule I, and that the code change was an administrative action meant to help the agency track research. To read more on his and Hoban's comments and this issue, check out thecannabist.co. For The Cannabist, I'm Alicia Wallace with this week's Quick Hit.
Thank you, Alicia. And now let's bring out our first guest. She is the co-founder of L'Eagle, a dispensary that specializes in green practices, and Organic Cannabis Association board member. I'm excited to bring out Amy Andrle. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Shake hug, hi.
I love shake hugs.
Shake hug. May I use your?
Absolutely. Yeah. Put it right down there. We got plenty of room. I'm going to bring it over closer because I'm just going to go willy-nilly.
Okay. Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited.
Glad to be here.
Your partner, John, came on last time, talked at length about kind of what organic cannabis means to legal. And now you've received this green certification. What can you tell me about that?
Sure. I should clarify, that's my partner and husband, John. So we've worked together and married together. So it's a good way to live.
I'm in the same boat. My fiance and I work together and engaged now.
Yeah.
And it's the trials and tribulations.
It's fun. We're all in, so it's good.
I love the concept of being all in, cannabis business.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you start?
Well, let's see. He started the shop in 2009,
Okay.
and then I came on board full-time in 2014, just after our daughter was born.
And were you guys married before the shop started?
No, but we had been together before the shop started.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
And so you got this green certification,
Yeah.
and I think that it can be a little confusing because people
Sure.
hear green certified and they're like,
Totally.
oh, well, cannabis can't be classified as organic in Colorado. There's a
Absolutely.
bunch of different hoops to jump through. So what does that green certification mean in terms of legal?
Sure. Okay. So the City and County of Denver's Department of Environmental Health, they have a certifiably green program that they put on. It certifies businesses that on their environmental practices and their sustainability practices. So environmental responsibility, sustainable practices for that entity. So they certify restaurants, dry cleaners, other retail locations. Well, they just started, and we're very proud to be so far the first and only certifiably green retail adult use recreational dispensary. So yeah, it's really exciting. Thank you. I think I mentioned that I love when our business is treated like other businesses. It really helps to normalize cannabis.
It's a novel concept,
it is,
right?
Yeah, great.
Were there any loopholes that being a cannabis business kind of introduced, or not necessarily loopholes, but any kind of stumbling blocks from that certification point of view, where it's ways getting rid of waste or anything like that, or was it a pretty streamlined process?
Well, you know, we went through the same rigorous standards they have for others. I think for them what was important was really separating our cultivation from the retail store, because they're not certifying product, they're just certifying the shop itself. So I think there was that clarification, but no, same standards applied. You know, they look at our business practices, they look at our use of resources, our recycling programs, you know, accessibility via alternate modes of transportation to just in general, you know, business standards and management that we have in place.
What's the accessibility point? Because I remember I first got into the dispensary business a while ago, and I remember one of the first things that we wanted to do was adopt a bus stop. And we were like, we're going to keep this area clean, we're going to do that. And then the summer rolled around, and the horrors that you would find in that tragedy, I was like, okay, we need to rethink this. So what's your commitment there?
Okay, so you know, we're close to downtown. I always say we're hiding in plain sight, but we're still we're accessible from bus stops. So do we provide on our website, you know, directions for somebody who was to walk to our facility from, say, a main thoroughfare like Santa Fe or Broadway, or if they were going to ride their bike? Do we have bike parking, like where they can come and lock up their bike safely? We also have outside dog parking in the summer, so that if someone were out strolling their pet, they could put their dog in a safe shaded area with a bowl of water.
Okay, I was wondering what a dog parking spot looks like, and it's shade and a bowl.
They have them at Whole Foods, you know, like, where you can safely lock up your pet with a little bit of water and some shade.
That's amazing.
So it just encourages pedestrian traffic, bicycle, you know, traffic as well, and so yeah,
That's pretty cool. I think that one of the things that I was really interested about with L'Eagle is that you do one of the longest cures in the business at 90 days.
Yeah,
Can you talk to a little bit about what the benefits are for that process?
Sure. So, you know, everyone has a different theory on cultivating cannabis, and we you know that. And so we believe that a long cure finishes off our process. So for our standpoint, you know, we've taken the time to grow it. We've harvested it very carefully, the way that we initially dry the product, and we want it to cure. If you look at tobacco, wine, cheese, caviar, the list continues of, you know, really products that are going to benefit from age and time. So I think that with cannabis, our theory on that is that you've got a plant matter that, or a plant product. So the plant matter dissipates over time. It helps the product to dry. You're going to have some natural biodegradation of the chlorophyll, the plant cells in general when they're starting to dry completely. We believe that it really adds to a smoother smoke as well as a better flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's going to burn.
Did you play around with like different times? I mean, what's the longest it cures?
You know, we say it cures for about 90 days. Because some, you know, there's based on demand of strains, some people ask us, well, how soon are you going to have L'Eagle out? And so we'll try to move that through after 60 days or so. But we sometimes go longer as well if we can, depending. So on average, it's about 90 days. All
right, I'm kind of a strain nerd, and you just said L'Eagle.
Yeah.
What are the genetics behind L'Eagle?
Oh my God!
Like a
Don't
proprietary?
ask me that question. Yeah, that's up here, and
All right, fair enough. Let's bring it back.
It's
to
a nice sativa.
Okay,
you
great.
Would like it.
I'm in.
Yes.
So you also have a really interesting approach, which is that the edibles that are on your shelf are made from your flower.
Absolutely.
When did that start?
Sure.
It seems like a really, I just haven't heard of a lot of dispensaries out there doing it, and I applaud you, but I also want to know kind of what the benefits are.
It's sort of crazy, yeah. So that's okay. So not just the edibles, but all of our concentrates are also made with our own trim. We're just very proud of the way that we grow our product, the time and energy that goes into it. Our clean cannabis, we know that it's pesticide free, you know, and we know that it's been long cured. We know exactly what's gone into that product. So we trust it. So when we want to offer the same product from a flower form in concentrates or edibles, we're going to have that product turned into you know, multiple different edibles and or different concentrates, and there are so many. We make in-house the water hash and also rosin, but you know, we have shatter, butter, you name the gamut of that list. So we work with different producers, different MIPS holders to help us process that. And the reason why is we believe that customers still want a variety. They want to come into our store and know that they can buy Love's Oven, Keef Cola, Canyon Cultivation. These are just some of our partners, but that product is made with our trim. We work with those MIPS. They take the trim, they process it, and then they turn it into, if it's, you know, butter extracted edible from Love's, or if it's a coffee made by Keef, we're able to offer that continuity.
And there's so much, so you really had to find a few different companies that wanted to work with you.
We did.
I mean, in terms of a business decision, does that alter your bottom line, or are there different kind of considerations that they have?
It does. You know, it does affect there is a difference in our margins, and it's not the perfect on paper business idea, but we feel like it follows in with our niche of what we're doing, and if we can adhere to that and stand to it, then it's going to pay off in the long run. We're fortunate to have some really great MIPS partners. We do currently now have a MIP, so we'll probably start making and thinking about that for our future for ourselves. But I think the partnerships are what's so important with these different manufacturing companies. And you know, we always say, like, we verify it going in, we verify it coming out. We have good trusting relationships, but we still test all of the products. We still want to make sure that that we're giving our clients what we say we're giving them. And then I think from the MIPS point of view, they have that, you know, they do have access to our trim. We like to think that our trim is very high quality and that it's mutually beneficial. And
what's the verification process like there? Because I can imagine, you know, there's a lot of like fingers crossed and send it out to them, and you have to have great relationships there. So how do you do that?
Trust but verify. So
old Reaganisms.
So So we do a lot of testing. We do additional testing on our part. We test it as it's going out. We know what the strain. We know almost everything on our shelves is strain specific. So we know what strain we're sending them. Then we. I know, edibles and concentrates too, right? Not just hybrids. It's great. So we know what it is going out, and then we have verified that coming back, and so we just do a lot of testing. But it's to the customer's benefit. Right? Yeah, it's really awesome. It hardly costs a thing, you know.
I mean, so kind of what's the next step? You talked about getting a MIP and like looking at making your own infused products, and if so, do you
I think that we would love to. We're just vetting some ideas now. You know, we have our water hash that we make in-house. We have the rosin, and I think, you know, there is an idea of exploring that for ourselves. We know that it's lucrative and it opens up other markets, but at the same time, I don't think we'll ever stop carrying other partners' products as well, because as a consumer, when I go shopping, I don't want all the same brand or all the same, you know, idea. I like there to feel like there's variety, but I want to know that the base ingredients are safe and healthy.
Right. Sometimes I go into dispensaries now and I'm overwhelmed by the options with like edibles, 6 different vape brands. So I think that you know, do people kind of find it easier too without too much? And I'm sure that from a training perspective with your staff too, it's not quite the breadth, but they can be a little bit more in-depth with knowledge on these products.
Yeah. And so because part of the deal with having your MIPS done is oftentimes what you give them, you have to get back. So we have a limited selection that varies throughout the year, you know. So we might have 5 choices of different, I'll use Love's Oven as an example, edible, but then that cycles out. So maybe we have ginger snaps at Christmas and something else for summer with different strains. So it's not daunting or overwhelming. I think with how much we have on the shelves, we just make different products at different times depending on where we are seasonally or where we are in terms of what trim we have available.
Awesome.
But for our staff, our team's amazing. So
very cool. I have to come check it out.
You do.
Well,
you should be in.
Thank you so much,
You're
Amy.
welcome.
We're going to chat with you more in just a bit, but now let's go to the Superintendent of Smoking Sativa, Professor Pat, for the new Cannabist Lexicon.
Decarboxylate. The process of converting the acid form of cannabinoids, such as THCA and CBDA, is an essential part of the process if you wish to consume cannabis orally. Decarboxylation occurs at around 240 degrees Fahrenheit, converting THCA and CBDA into THC and CBD, respectively. Though the acid forms of these cannabinoids have some medical benefits, normally decarboxylation is desired for maximum potency and effect in edibles, tinctures, and salves. For example, I heated up the hash oil to decarb it, and now I can literally just drip it into anything and make it medicated.
Thanks, Professor P. And now let's bring out our second guest. She's the brand director for an innovative new edibles company, Stillwater. Please welcome Missy Bradley, everybody.
Hi. You hugging? Oh, of course. Thanks for having me.
Grab a seat on the couch.
I turned it the right way.
Look at that.
Oh.
Product placement.
Brand director.
It's our mugs. I don't even think we sell the mugs, but thank you. That's how we know you're a brand director. So, Missy, you have Whitewater, Stillwater, and Ripple. What's the difference? Let's get that right out.
So we launched the company with Stillwater. Okay. Stillwater is our microdose tea. It's organic loose leaf tea paired with a water-soluble THC, and it's 2.5 milligrams per serving. Okay. Steeps just like a regular cup of tea. We launched with that product, and there was some discussion in the marketplace that, you know, we love your tea, but we have a much higher tolerance. Do you have anything for us?
The classic edibles.
Yes,
but I can't feel it.
Yeah, 2.5 milligrams does nothing for me. I don't even know that it's there.
Right,
what can
they're
you do
like,
for me?
I'm drinking 8 cups of tea. I'm very uncomfortable.
You know, and for a while we said, oh, you know, use two tea sticks, so that's 5 milligrams, and people were still kind of laughing at us, like, okay, haha. What about 8 tea sticks? So we fought it for a little while because we really believe in the low dose movement. And then thought to ourselves, well, no, there are different doses that are right for different people. And we can't say that 2.5 milligrams is your dose, and we can't say that 10 milligrams is somebody else's dose. So that is how Whitewater was born. Whitewater is the same product as Stillwater at 10 milligrams.
Okay, so wait, it's just kind of dawning on me that Whitewater's like the rush and Stillwater is... Okay.
Whitewater is dive into life, Stillwater is relax into life.
I love it. All right, so, and for some people, 10 milligrams might be their microdose.
Exactly. No, and that's very true. For some people, 10 milligrams is their microdose. They can consume 10 milligrams and just get the benefits of THC without getting the high.
Okay. And then we have Ripple.
And then we have Ripple, which is just our water-soluble THC component. So we made these 2 teas that use water-soluble THC, and we still had people saying to us, well, that sounds really cool, but I don't drink tea. And we thought, well, we've made this water-soluble THC compound, maybe we should just sell that. And that is Ripple.
So I don't drink tea. I think I've had like 4 cups of tea in my life.
But do you drink coffee? Do you drink water?
I started drinking coffee at age 30. I'm such a weirdo. But I want to know.
That's just proof that it's never too late.
It's never too late to start. But I'm curious, if somebody wanted to get started in tea, if they wanted to start picking up and building a palate for it, where do you start? What's a good intro tea? If I'm looking to dabble in some...
I guess it would depend on... I look to dabble in tea.
Right.
I guess it would depend on what other beverages you currently drink. So, for instance, our mint tea is an herbal tea. So it doesn't actually come from the tea leaf. It is dried mint leaf. And so that's pretty mild. And if you're used to peppermint flavor sort of in your candies or gums or whatever the case may be, maybe that's for you. If you are a coffee drinker and you're looking for a caffeine supplement, our black tea is a fully caffeinated tea. And then our green tea is, green tea is the healthy tea.
I love it. Like I'm like a kindergartner just learning about tea for the first time. And trust me, you're doing it at the right speed. Thank you so much. We're figuring it out together.
Yeah, hey.
But no, I've heard that about green tea. Antioxidants?
It has antioxidants, it has plenty of health benefits, and it's lightly caffeinated. So if you're still looking to replace another caffeinated beverage that you drink, maybe the green tea would be for you.
Now, what I love is that when I'm looking into Ripple specifically, that it's not just beverages that you can add it to, but also savory dishes like a lasagna. I think that was one of the examples, and I'm like, that is so fun and just really hits like my inner Garfield, where I'm just like, hey, a whole tray of lasagna, that sounds fun. I mean, how does that even work?
So because it's water soluble, anything that you are making that has a liquid component, so for instance, if you're baking or you're cooking, you can mix Ripple into your wet ingredients. And you know, we found that when we first introduced Ripple to people, they didn't quite understand what it was, which is how the video with all of the different instances of using Ripple came to be. But yeah, it can dissolve into any liquid. So for instance, if you're baking, Ripple comes in 5 milligram packets. You can precisely dose any of your baked goods or your dinner with Ripple. If you make a lasagna for 2, and you want a Stillwater dose, so the 2.5
lasagna for 2?
How many people do you cook for?
I don't know, like way too many. I just like, it's a big tray of lasagna. I'm sorry.
I cook in those little glass Pyrex dishes because I hate having the leftovers because nobody in my house ever eats them.
Oh wait, you're a no leftover family as well?
Yeah, it doesn't go over well. They'll sit in there for like a week and then my husband will say, "Do you think that's still good?" And then he eats it, but it sits in there for far too long.
So it has to be water soluble, but I think that's it. And there's no, like, you can't add it to a bath, right? You need to physically ingest it through your mouth.
I mean, I guess, we've never tried that. I guess you could. I mean, it will solubilize and it will sit in your water. And I guess the same way that a bath bomb infused with THC would work, that Ripple would too. But the dose is so low that I'm not sure that it would really.
Just get like 10 packets in a hot tub and let loose. And
you go and buy the 800 milligrams that you're allowed at the dispensary and try dumping all of that in and see what happens.
I think this sounds like a fun party. So you talked a little bit about it, or at least hinted at it earlier, and there's this big movement where people are taking small doses of cannabis, almost like a vitamin every day, and trying to just kind of get their endocannabinoid system revved up. Are you hearing stories like that back from consumers? Are they positive? What's going on?
Absolutely. We've heard a ton about microdosing in the past couple months even. People who are saying, I used to consume a ton and I was high all the time, and now they're saying, I figured out that there is a level that I can reach where I get all of the benefits of the THC, but I'm not high all the time, I can function. And that's a lot what we talk about at Stillwater is the functional dose. So, the amount that a single person can ingest, still reap all the benefits of the THC, and be able to work or take care of their kids or drive their vehicle. But yeah, so we actually, there is a bud tender who works at a Joya who has PTSD, and he was consuming high doses of edibles and has told us that he loves drinking Stillwater tea. And that is what he uses it for. So it's amazing to sort of hear things like that. We hear from a lot of older people that they can use it for sleep, that they don't want to get high before they go to bed because it makes them feel uncomfortable, but they need something to sort of relax into sleep, to actually put them to sleep, and they don't want to feel groggy in the morning. So we have a ton of senior-aged people reaching out to us saying, I tried your mint tea, I love it to go to sleep. So that small dose can help people do a lot of things without taking them out of themselves.
And I think that that's such a key too, in not taking people out of themselves, but allowing them that quality of life. When I hear stories like that about that bud tender, you never know what kind of effects your products are going to have until they're out there. And then you get these stories back and it's so affirming.
Yeah, no, we absolutely feel the same way. And for a while, we didn't know if it was sort of the thing where you launch a product and people just want to say nice things to you. And so for a while, we sort of fought back like, oh yeah, thanks, cool. And now the more and more we hear these same stories sort of affirming each other, it's really great, and it makes us believe more in what we're doing.
Well, okay, so when I first heard about this product, my first thing was concern, because whenever you have something like this, where it's water soluble and not a lot of green taste is another thing that you advertise, I always want to make sure that there aren't people that are abusing a product like this. So, are you concerned about any potential for people to give a little Ripple to somebody who doesn't know that it's in their, whatever they're eating?
Yeah, that was actually a conversation that we had very early on when we were doing taste tests with the product and trying to get most of the flavor out of it. And really, the product is meant to be consumed as a serving at 5 milligrams. You could put 2 servings into, say, if your serving is a glass of water, for instance, and it would fully dissolve. Anything beyond that isn't really going to dissolve, and you'll see it. That was the other thing. So because we got rid of so much of the flavor, Ripple will actually turn water cloudy. And it does add a cloudiness to a beverage, so you can see that something is different, because we don't want people abusing it. I mean, we put on the packaging, don't mix it with alcohol, to try to sway people from that. Because
I didn't even think about that. That's
yeah,
dangerous.
I probably just ruined that for everybody.
No,
but we've had people say to us, "Can I snort this?"
Oh, idiots!
And
don't snort anything. Why are we still? It's 2017.
You can do whatever you want, but please don't. Is pretty much all we can say to people. So,
Right.
and the other thing is that because at 10 milligrams is probably the most that is going to dissolve into your cup, it's really not going to do that much to a person where they're so inebriated that they don't have their senses about them. Even somebody with a low tolerance, they might feel kind of crazy or sleepy, but they'll still be there. So the hope is that the product as it has been developed can't be used for something like that.
Cool. I hope that we didn't give any creeps out there any ideas, because it sounds like you really well thought this out well, and I'm excited to try it.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. All right, we're going to bring Amy back in now, and what I'm doing is asking everybody, what's your preferred consumption method? Edibles, flower, or concentrates?
I am low-dose edibles all the way.
Low dose, well, okay, that makes sense.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah, amen. What about you?
Flower.
Flower.
Yes.
There's fewer and fewer of us.
I know.
I'm just like, there's
I'm
still.
old school.
Yeah. Favorite method?
Packs.
Yeah.
Or on the go. Or
Packs on the go.
Packs on the go.
That's just their motto now.
Or-
Packs on the go.
or probably a glass bowl.
Yeah.
You know? I'm a purist.
I find
Joint.
that I don't roll anything anymore. I've become so lazy. I would be just the perfect
We
like
should start
Ripple
rolling
person.
things
I'm just
together
like,
more
"Wah." Vince, what's your rolling? Your joints or blunts?
Joints. I twist a joint every day. It's my martini. If I was a 1950s house husband, come home and twist something every night.
Really? Well, I was out on my birthday party. This guy just gives us he was like, "Oh, you're celebrating your birthday." Gives me a bunch of Cubans, and I'm like, "Oh, great! So special." But now I think I want to try rolling up some Cubans. Now that they're just like a dime a dozen, I'm like, let's
All
give that
far
a
beyond
shot.
my skill level.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is that what the edibles are just sheer convenience?
No,
or
smoking things just, my eyes are dry as it is, and I get such dry eye from smoking things and throat and.
Oh, so if anybody just sees you and you're like just totally red-eyed and like can't talk.
I have been called out for being high so many times when my eyes are just red.
Okay.
We had a company event and we were at Benihana sitting around the table.
Oh yeah, that
and
sounds like a company event. First of all.
I'm mildly obsessed with Benihana. Anybody who knows me knows this. But the chef just looked at me and he was like, "You're high." Excuse me?
Don't judge.
Yeah, but no, I'm totally fine. But yeah, so it just, I have a hard time smoking anything, so.
Well, I want to ask you guys both. You're in a market where you're one business in a really kind of sea of other competitors. What do you do to kind of stick out or to make your business unique, whether it's in your marketing or your business efforts? I know, Amy, we talked a lot about kind of clean cannabis, organic, but what else does L'Eagle really try and use to stand out from the crowd?
Well, I think our niche, we're really trying to lean on that we can be different. We're counting on there to be a cannabis, connoisseur that once not only is this legal, but then they're going to start to sort of sift it out and see the different qualities therein, and that the consumer is going to find us. And then other than that, really on our customer service, because it's up to our staff to educate people coming in. We get, tourists and newbies, but we also have cannabis nerds, and so we need to keep up with all spectrums and make everybody feel comfortable. So.
Do you feel like that I almost said connoisseur market is still out there?
Thank you.
Because I feel like now more and more I hear people that are deal hunting or just giving you the cheapest ounce possible. So you're still seeing that in the market?
I think there are a lot of people out there just looking for the best bang for their buck. But through my work with Organic Cannabis Association, we're just trying to give people a differentiation so that they can make the same selection they would. How do they buy their food? How do they shop for clothes? How do they, what car do they purchase? You're going to do it responsibly, and we think that that's going to happen for cannabis.
Yeah, we sort of see the same thing.
Yeah.
We're judged on a price per milligram when we sell to a dispensary. And what we are trying to tell people is that we are an organic tea company. We source organic, fair trade, loose leaf tea, and we we make what we think is a quality product, and there's a price that goes along with that. It's the same as if you go into a grocery store and you're buying tea off a shelf. You're not looking at one tea and saying, oh, that tea's $20, that tea's $10. I'm gonna get the $10 tea. You're buying the tea that you think is best for you, which is what you should be doing in the cannabis market too. You want a quality product, or there are people who want a quality product and they are willing to pay that price.
And we keep our prices fairly the same in terms of the competition, just because we do have to fight against the deal seekers out there. So it's just a cost to us, but we think it's going to pay off in the long run.
That's really interesting. And so, like, what's the tea sourcing look like? Because that's something that I wouldn't have even thought of. I'm just like, oh, it's the Lipton and then the expensive stuff. So I'm probably on the wrong end of this conversation. So I mean, that's something that you actively do. Because I imagine
the #1 tea in the world, the Lipton black tea.
It is?
I think so.
I mean, it would check
Don't
out
quote
to
me
me.
on that. But you know, we actually have a supplier based out of Nevada, but they are their company. They're third-generation tea farmers in India. And they have, I believe, 6 or 8 tea farms across India where they source their tea from, and they make a special custom cut and blend for us.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Try our tea.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we know. So we have an Egyptian peppermint, which they source from elsewhere, and then a Darjeeling green and an Assam black. And we actually just had our tea supplier out last week, so we could talk to him about different flavors and different cuts. But yeah, it's just really great to know where it comes from, and it also helps us stand behind the brand and the product. We know what is going into it. We know what consumers are getting.
Right.
Aren't the teas, they sound like strains, right?
Right. That's what I was just...
Like tea, strains, cuts, blends. Yeah.
Right. I think we're all aligned, and so now it is the perfect time to go into the pot quiz. Dun, dun, where we pit our 2 guests against each other in a battle of pot knowledge. Who would like to start?
I'll start.
Missy confidently says. All right. Question number 1. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, great. The mayor of Philadelphia told which group they shouldn't smoke weed so obviously that you scare olds my age? Was it A, park goers? Was it B, Philadelphia 76ers fans? Was it C, downtown protesters? Or D, people at a Mannheim Steamroller concert?
Wow.
Not a contest.
Mannheim Steamroller.
I'm
I'm going to go with park goers.
That is correct. Missy on the board with 1 point. Yeah, there were apparently, there's this park, people would sit on the wall all day and smoke pot.
Well, I mean, as I thought about it, like that would
nerve.
be... Why would you do
dare
that? If I were going to smoke pot, I would like to sit in a park and do it.
Yes. Apparently there's like some graffiti things like that happening, but the neighborhood association rose up and said, you're not smoking pot on those walls anymore.
Is it the people who are smoking pot that are doing the graffiti, though? Because that doesn't strike me as the same sort of group of people.
How did he refer to himself? The older?
The olds, I think, is what we need to focus on here.
Olds my age.
I'm pretty sure the olds were smoking pot back in their day.
Exactly. I'm just worried about people smoking pot from walls. I feel like stay as close to the ground when you're smoking pot. That's a rule of thumb for me. All right, we're going to go to Amy with question number 2. According to Cannabis, the average price of wholesale marijuana has fallen to what per pound?
Oh, geez.
Is it A, $1,000, B, $1,300, C, $1,600, or D, none of the above?
$1,000.
And this is going to go to Missy with a chance to steal.
Oh,
what were my options?
So it's B, $1,300, C, $1,600, or D, none of the above?
None of the above.
And it's going to go back to Amy.
$1,300.
It is $1,300. That is correct.
I knew that. After I said it, I knew it, because they just adjusted excise.
Yeah, Cannabis just came out with this. There's a new article talking about just the free fall of wholesale prices here and really pushing people to start moving into greenhouses where we can conserve a little bit of energy. Are you all indoor grow right now?
Yeah, we are.
Would you ever consider moving to a greenhouse or something that was a little...
I think we'd consider it.
Yeah.
We finally got this down to a science. So
That's always the trouble. Is you dial in the grow and you're like,
I don't. So is that the cost per pound? Are they adding excise tax or after excise? It's
Ooh,
a
that's a
curious
great
question. Because $300 a pound is excise.
That's what there's. They had another between 300 and 1,000 was something that they had also mentioned. So, all right, I'm gonna have to go fact check myself. All right, so we will go back to Missy. A federal appeals court is set to hear arguments aimed at taking down Colorado's recreational marijuana laws, filed by which 2 neighboring states? We got 2 states coming after us. A couple of haters out there. Which 2 are hating on us?
Don't give me the geography lesson. I know this though. Wyoming
is technically a neighbor of Colorado, yes.
But it's not one of them.
Vince with the ups.
I'm just trying to help out with the geography part.
So this is different than the Supreme Court case
so
that
it's
they already
an appeal
shot down.
of that Supreme Court case.
Oh.
So they're
I'm
still
not even
trying to
say
fight
another
forward.
one because I'm just going to say something really stupid. I bow out.
I think that was a firm pass.
This was going to be like a pageant moment, and I give up.
Well played. I did not do the same on my episode. When I did the first pop quiz, I think I messed up what hemispheres were or something.
Yeah, if this were Colorado, it's this one and this one.
Okay. Amy, chance to steal?
Now you're making me second guess myself. I thought it was Nebraska and Oklahoma.
That is correct.
I said it like a question, though. It's like,
all right, so are we tied up now?
It's Jeopardy.
Oh, no, Amy,
it's me.
2
No,
points.
because she got the 1,300.
Yeah, you're 2 to 1.
Yeah.
All right, this
is way more counting than originally intended in the pop quiz.
Listen, I am not good with numbers, but all right, you have a chance to win it all right here.
Oh boy.
Which branch of the U.S. military will no longer disqualify new recruits based on their previous marijuana use?
Is it a multiple choice?
It's which branch of the U.S. military? So Air Force, Marine Corps, Army, or Navy?
Army.
That is not incorrect.
Dang.
Chance to steal?
Navy.
Marine Corps.
Really? The Air Force?
The Air Force is correct. I love just the
said it with such confidence, though.
Really? No, I like it. It seems like the one where you'd be the most concerned about people smoking
You can't even have that light sensitivity thing when you're in the Air Force, because you sneeze, you see.
Is that wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Photosensitivity.
Okay, photosensitivity.
Yeah.
I just also think, well, it would be
And
the
you
most
have to have perfect
fun.
eyesight.
It's previous use, not current use.
Right,
You're
right.
still not allowed to
use.
use it openly now.
All right.
So do they give you lie detector tests to see if you've had
I think it's one of those
previous
that you
use?
just, they expect honesty throughout your service.
Fair enough.
Picture Top Gun.
Yeah, exactly. Picture
Never
Top Gun,
totally
the
used
volleyball
marijuana.
scene, whatever. All right, so we have a tie here, so we're going to go to our tiebreaker.
Oh, boy.
We're going to do prices right, rules apply, so whoever's closest without going over is going to win.
All right.
Earlier, I talked about Glendale and Edgewater. How many dispensaries do those 2 cities combined have?
Combined.
Combined. And we'll start with Missy since she just tied it up.
Closest to that going, I'm going to say 10.
Say 10?
I was going to say 8.
The answer is 11. Missy is our winner, everybody.
Good job, Missy.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you two so much for being
Thank
on the
you.
show.
Thank you.
This has been so much fun. If you're watching at home, don't forget, if you're listening to us on iTunes, you can subscribe there. You can also rate and review us, which also helps new people find the show. We love that. So podcast listeners, did you guys just type that up as I said it? That's amazing. Or was that on a prompter I wasn't reading? Who knows? But thanks to producer Vince and Don and the rest of the crew in the studio. I'm Jake Brown, and have a great week.
I'm allowed to lose, I choose to win, I'm all in, I'm calling any posse you'll be raising at the end, I'll say it again, ain't afraid to get in, I'll be going for the jackpot with ace in my hand, I'm raw.